We're getting some breaking news. Zohran Mamdani wins New York mayoral polls. History has been scripted. 55-year record broken. Zohran Mamdani wins the New York mayoral polls. Decision Desk headquarter projects Zohran Mamdani to win the New York City mayor election. That's the breaking news that's coming in from the United States. As far as the New York City mayoral polls are concerned, we're learning that Zohran Mamdani has won the New York mayoral polls. He was earlier leading the three-way race. He was fighting against Curtis Sliwa, who's the Republican candidate, and also independent candidate, former Governor Andrew Cuomo, who was backed by Donald Trump. But Zohran Mamdani, being the clear favorite of the New Yorkers, has won the New York City mayoral polls. So 55-year record broken in New York City. Zohran Mamdani has emerged as the winner in the New York City mayoral polls, defeating Andrew Cuomo, who is the former governor, and also the Republican candidate Curtis Sliwa. And this is a big victory for Zohran Mamdani. Remember, this comes after there were threats and warnings from Donald Trump, who's the US president, that New Yorkers must not back Zohran Mamdani, else there will be federal fund cuts for the New York. But New York City was looking for a change, and it was also being seen as a contest between experience and new leadership. And the New Yorkers have clearly chosen new leadership this time. So Zohran Mamdani has crossed 51% votes for New York City and has won the New York City mayoral polls. My colleague Rohit Sharma is now joining us from Washington, D.C. Rohit, 55-year record has been broken. Zohran Mamdani wins the New York City mayoral polls.
Yeah, I mean, look, a young guy who I remember he posted a picture of himself last year, 5 days after President Donald Trump won the election. He was standing on a intersection in the Brooklyn area, just holding a placard and a microphone, and started his campaign. Then nobody gave him a chance. He persisted. Last year, June, he got creative with his campaigning. He started making videos, including one in Hindi and using Bollywood dialogues, and was so so sincere in his campaign that he shocked everybody by defeating Andrew Cuomo, who's one of the leaders of the Democratic Party, by winning the primaries, forcing him out of the Democratic contention and making him an independent, and then going on to win this election on what he's been calling a very socialist or democratic socialist platform, a son of Indian filmmaker Mira Nair, and a Muslim. I think it's been only 24 years. In 9/11, after 9/11. If you look like a certain way, if you were brown and if you're of a different religion, you would look down and you were essentially looked with suspicion. But him winning tonight, is a very, very important thing for America, especially, as I've been saying, especially at a time when minorities probably feel they're not welcome. And I think New York is leading the way in showing America that if you talk about issues that matter to Americans, if you talk about issues about inflation and jobs, and the issues that matter to people in their kitchen versus what else is going on in the world, then people will listen to you. And his campaign wasn't different from what Republicans tried to do last year. He was talking about making sure the food is affordable. He was talking about making sure that people are taken care of. There are no cuts to Medicaid and Medicare and as such. So I think Zohran Mamdani winning this election is a very, very big deal. He has a very big future ahead. Obviously not born in the US, so he can never be the president according to the existing constitution that we have. But I think he will be looked upon as somebody, as a leader in the Democratic Party, as somebody who's been able to pull this victory off, somebody successfully building a narrative that has been lost, some people believe, by the Democratic leaders in the last year or so, and eventually putting himself on a clash with President Donald Trump, who has said on the record multiple times that if Zohran Mamdani was to win the election, he is not going to fund New York City. So we all witness whatever happens from now on. But tonight, I think Mamdani, what he's done, is incredible by any political pundit's imagination. A young 34-year-old winning this election in New York City is just phenomenal.
Yes, Rohit, and what really worked for Zohran Mamdani? What were the issues that resonated with the New Yorkers?
Well, you know, New York has the highest, one of the highest rent, in America. People cannot afford to live in New York City. People can't afford energy prices in New York City. The bus fare, I mean, it's a lot. And a lot of New Yorkers, I mean, I think everybody uses public transport. So I think those were the socialist issue that he ran on about saying, hey, you know what, we will not charge you bus fare. We will make sure the energy prices are controlled. We will make sure or he will make sure, I should say, that the rents are controlled and people can live and afford to live in New York City. I think those were the basic issues that put him in a different bucket than traditional Republicans or Democrats, and something, as he himself calls himself a socialist, and he has taken a lot of criticism for that too. But I think New Yorkers wanted to give him a chance. They liked his energy. They liked how he was able to build that diverse coalition of voters, be it from different religions, different faith, African Americans, progressives, and old Democrats. So I think he was able to build that coalition on those issues that he was running on. He never wavered away from those issues that he kept talking about. He was laser focused on making sure that affordability is the biggest issue for him and for New Yorkers. He was never ever going to move away from that, even if there were calls from his opponents challenging him on how he's going to do it. The issues with Trump, the issue that New York may not get funded. He kept on saying that he will fight for every New Yorker and making sure that New Yorkers can afford to live in New York City. And I think that is exactly why they were able to resonate with him, or his ideas, I should say, and eventually voted for him twice. First in the primaries in June, and now in the general election, making him the youngest New York mayor ever to be governing New York.
In fact, Rohit, this contest was also being seen as a contest between experience and new leadership, and clearly the mandate is in the favor of new leadership.
Absolutely, goes back to what Ronald Reagan had said once upon a time, and that he lacks, even if he lacks in experience, he makes up in integrity, and I think that's what he has been saying all along. Again, not a novice politician. He was serving, as an assemblyman in New York State, so obviously known for what he has done. But essentially, nobody had thought that he would be overcoming challenges from Eric Adams, who was supposed to be running in this election. He dropped out. His name was still on the ballot, but he forced him out. Andrew Cuomo, comes from a very rich, influential Democratic Party. One of those leaders that Democrats looked up to. He defeated him fair and square in the primaries and again in the general. So I think people of New York were tired of old politics and wanted to give somebody a chance. And his message, as we are looking at those images right now, has resonated. And his campaign was built on those issues, which I think are very important to New Yorkers.
Right. And also, Rohit, this victory becomes even more significant because what we have been seeing in the last few days, Donald Trump also, being against Zohran Mamdani, even warning the voters in New York City that there will be federal cuts and that they must not back Zohran Mamdani.
Yes. Anjali, you're absolutely right about that. I mean, in fact, I was just texting to somebody close to White House. I can't say in the White House right now, and they were saying President Trump is focused on making sure that he makes New Yorkers feel the pain in a way by cutting those federal grants, and then he's also somebody who's willing to work. If Zohran Mamdani and his administration is willing to ensure that they meet some of those demands by President Trump, he would definitely want to do it, because remember, New York is President Trump's home. This is where he was born and raised. So I think it's really close to his heart. So he would want to make sure that his ideas, that is of President Donald Trump's ideas about how federal funds should be used and what it should not be used for, are taken into consideration by Zohran Mamdani, and he would want to find a way. But if the New York's new mayor refuses to, then he has assured that they will feel the pinch, and they did not listen to him at the first go, where he said they should all vote for Andrew Cuomo.
Right. Rohit, do stay with us. So, Zohran Mamdani has won the New York mayoral polls. The decision desk headquarters projects Zohran Mamdani to win the New York City mayor election. The decision desk has in fact declared that he has won the New York City mayoral polls. It was a three-way contest and Zohran Mamdani emerged as the clear favorite of the New Yorkers. He crossed 51% votes for New York City. And Rohit Sharma continues to stay with us from Washington, D.C. Rohit, what does this result signify about the shifting political landscape in the United States?
Well, look, I think it is very important to note that, Democrats after last year, they kind of seem to have lost on messaging, and they were called as out of touch. We've seen what's happened in Virginia, where Abigail Spanberger has won, first woman ever to be elected, another Democrat. We're looking at the race in New Jersey where it looks like Nikki Sherrill might win that race also. Another lady, another Democrat. And then right here in New York, we have Zohran Mamdani winning. Now, it hasn't happened in the last 90 years, 90 years, that if trial of this race, meaning New York, New Jersey, and Mayor of New York, if they are all won by Democrats, then the next year's midterms are eventually going to go the Democratic way, meaning the Democrats will hold a majority. Now, we are 1 year away from that, but still, that is what history shows us. So if people in these states, and some of these states, especially New Jersey and Virginia, which had voted, some of those counties and some of those districts in Virginia and New Jersey had actually voted for President Trump, if they are shifting gears and they're moving away from President Trump or Republicans towards Democrats, then it eventually means that the Republicans have to understand that their message is probably not resonating with the voters, and they will have to go back and change their strategy, because Democrats, for the moment, as of tonight, seem like they've landed on two platforms. One, a moderate campaign, the campaign that was run by Abigail Spanberger in Virginia, and the other one, which is a socialist platform that Zohran Mamdani ran on. So it'll have consequences and repercussions in both the parties.
All right, Rohit, thank you so much for all those details. So 55-year record has been broken and Zohran Mamdani has won the New York City mayoral polls.